Greetings, everyone. Let me say peace, love, light, good energy to you all, and may all be well with you and your loved ones. Welcome, welcome to everyone that is going to be joining us or logging on to this broadcast. Welcome. Let me start off by giving thanks to the Most High, to the universe, and to all that the universe provides, and to the awakening, the age of the awakening that has come forth, and all the knowledge that has been brought before my eyes and taken me to a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physically to a higher level. I give thanks. I give thanks for good friends, good brothers and sisters, loved ones, those whom are truly sincere in their actions and their camaraderie. I give thanks. I give thanks to the subscribers who have been subscribed to my platform or to the platform and to from the beginning, the ones who are still here, to the new ones as well. I give thanks to Brother American Arawaks, um, to the ICCC as well, also Brother Super Slide 75, uh, for looking out um, on and off behind the scenes as well. Um, we give thanks. Give thanks to those who I am working with, and in the future to those who I will be working with uh, moving forward. Now, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. A few years ago, I believe in the 2019 coming into 2020, I did a stream. That stream was taken down a few weeks ago, right? And I told y'all during that stream that these folks deal with things on esoteric level, where everything is dealt on a spiritual level, signs and symbols, energy, okay? Um, energy waves, ley lines, manipulation. A lot of these things are fraternal, soul roars fraternal, occultic. This is how they move. They move by the way of the astrological order. You don't move in that way. So, nor do you or a lot of you want to understand what that is. And this is why you will always be left behind, and your children will be left behind, and your children's children will be left behind. And even if you come up on millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars, and you still don't know about this portion of the information, you will be nothing but a rich sheep. You won't even be wealthy. Wealthy is Bill Gates. Wealthy is George Soros. Wealthy is the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. You'll be a rich sheep, whereas here today and gone tomorrow by the snap of the fingers of the wealthy. Understand this. stream I did a few years ago was talking about the passing over of the crown and what that had to do with the alpha constellations. Okay. You know, they talk about the whole Sigma Alpha Phi and all this, what it has to do with that. And again, being lost in the sauce. So I'm going to break down, try to keep it simple as much as I can. And we're going to start off with the crown, which is also called the corona. Show y'all how you've been duped and distracted. All this have been is one big land grab. Not only has it been a big land grab, it's been a passing over of the crown. Elizabeth been died a long time ago. And the past 2 years has been preparation for the anointment of the new king, of the Alpha era, the patriarch era that is coming back in. The thing with this patriarch is, if you thought the mother was bad, for all of you who are celebrating and mourning this lady, right? And I can't say, well, for all brown skin and dark skinned people who are celebrating and mourning her, because at the end of the day, there was a lot of Negroes around the world that were loyalists. Emperor Selassie is one. Get upset if you want. It's the truth. He kissed that ring. He bowed to the ring. They'll say, no, 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 he didn't. But I have the picture that shows that he did. He bowed to the ring. Why did he do that? Because they're from the same order, the same lodge, Masonic order. You understand? She has to knight him, just like how she has to, or her associates, or those members of the crown, has to knight your governor general, your prime minister. And for the Rastafarians that are pushing burn the queen and so on and so, but you're bigging up this man, must understand. Well, a lot of you guys are in it too. A lot of you guys are in it too. So you already know that he was one of the fellowship, the fellows of the fellowship of the ring. Now people say, oh, he talking Lord of the Rings. You guys don't, some of you guys that are hearing this just don't comprehend what this is. But you will, because if you're listening to this platform, that means you're going to be listening to other platforms and you're going to start doing the research. And that seed is going to grow into a mighty tree one day. And you're going to get it. That black ring that you see a lot of people wearing now, and you're thinking that it's a wedding band. It's not. It's many symbolic meanings behind it. And it all falls back underneath one order of the Masonic order. That black ring represents the Ouroboros, the snake and the dragon that eats itself and recycles back over life. From peace to chaos, from chaos back to peace, from peace to chaos, from chaos back to peace. The beginning and the end. Back to the beginning. If a squirrel dies and you bury it, the spot where that squirrel died, you'll see new growth of grass and multiple other things coming in. The soil will become fertile off of the carcass of the squirrel. So what is dead may never die, because from death comes new life. From new life also comes death, which the cycle repeats itself again. Understand? That black ring represents the Ouroboros. Okay? That's what that black ring represents. It also, within the BDSM world, right, represents BDSM, the whole submissive, dominant doms and subs, and the swingers society. Okay? Also, the pedophiles as well, which all falls back underneath the Masonic order. Out of one, many. It's not out of many, one. Out of one, many. Just open up an umbrella and look. You see all the pieces that holds up the umbrella. But what are you holding in your hand? One umbrella. Or you see a tree, one tree, many branches. Many out of one. This queen, been dead. You used to see videos from 2 years ago of the Arabs in them in their desert, digging up the desert, showing you a big black snake underground, going through the sands of the desert. A big black snake. And they were showing you. And they started even in the Asian animes when they're talking about Zel and Zaref and Seraphina, the language of the snake. Zel and Zaref meaning Z for the end. The end. Okay? If you guys hear noise, there's construction going on outside. But must understand that again, the reality or the perception that you have of reality, you have a false perception of reality because you're looking at things through normal eyes, through a sleeper's eyes. You're sleeping. You need to broaden your mind. You need to sharpen your mind. You need to awaken those sleeping areas of your brain. You need to awaken that. How do you do that? By absorbing, by learning new knowledge, not just learning it, researching it, figuring out if it's fact or fiction for yourself. What is the corona? We're going to go into it. Let's first go into the yes. Let's go into the corona first. Right, the corona. When you go on etymonline.com, the etymology website, that's ETYMONLINE.com. That is ETYMONLINE.com. etymonline.com. And you pull up corona. going to say 1650s, a crown, from Latin, a crown, garland, in ancient Rome, especially a crown or garland bestowed for distinguished military service. This is why your governor general, the princes, when they're being, when someone is being knighted, 9 times out of 10, they have a military garment on. Marcus Garvey, Emperor Selassie, military garment on. You understand? Prince Charles, that already was King Charles from 2 years ago, military garment on. And I also want folks to go and check out his sworn in ceremony, the one that they made public, and check out the oath that he took. Okay? And the words of the oath that he's repeating. All right? No, there's no, just in case, folks, there's nowhere else I could go to blurt out the noise. And I'm going to be busy for the rest of, from this time on after this. So this is the only time I could do this. Check it out. Even Noble Drew Ali, but try to pay attention. Okay? This is why, what was this? Is this Harry joined the military. The crown was supposed to have been passed to him, but he said he don't want it, which is why he ran his ass over here for that long period of time. Granny been dead. He didn't want the crown. You understand? So daddy got the crown. Okay, so Corona, 1650s, a crown, from Latin corona, a crown, a garland, in ancient Rome, especially a crown of garland bestowed for distinguished military service. Right? Uh, with many with many extended senses in botany, anatomy, etc. Botany, anatomy. Hmm? This dealing with the scamdemic now. That goes into anatomy and botany. Anyway, let's keep going. Etc. As a brand of Cuban cigar in 1876, the brand of Mexican pale lager beer dates back from 1925. The astronomical sense of, now here we go. The astronomical sense of luminous circle. Give me 1 second. I hate when people do this. I told this person that I'm doing a screen, and then they don't text like a whole sentence. They text one word after the other. Anyway, the astronomical sense of luminous circle observed around the sun. That's the halo around the sun during total eclipse is from 1809. The two crown constellations, Corona Borealis and Corona Australis, both are Ptolemaic. If you don't understand who Ptolemy is, or the Ptolemaic era is, you'd have to study ancient Rome and Egyptian history, right? Believe he was a Roman emperor that went into Egypt and made himself a pharaoh. Um, yeah, and there's much more to that too as well. And this is also going to go into the Greek sororities, okay? Because this is what they deal with. This is what they serve. They serve the Greek and Roman gods. This is what they serve. So when they take that oath, when they cross the burning sands, when they kill the old self to reborn a new self, right? Which a lot of them have to do some little things to be a part of that, you know. But anywho, it's a different story. Goes into the whole swingers thing. So yeah, so Corona Borealis certainly is much more like that for which it is named than usually the case with our sky figures. According to Richard Hinckley Allen, star names their meaning 1899. And he adds that to the Greek it is Stephanos, a wreath, and from Roman times on typically it was Aridanes' crown. The Arab astronomer, however, it was Al Farah. That's Fakkah. I don't want to say Fakah. It could be Fakah. Ahaka. The dish, or what is also known as the pauper's dish or the broken dish, Latinized as discus parvus confractus, as the celestial circle is incomplete. A word wrestled into European languages as alfaka or alfeka and used as the name of the constellation's none too bright brightest star. Now, the constellations that represents the American flag, which is a constellation of Orion. Within the constellation of Orion, you have Betelgeuse, the star. You have the Betelgeuse star. You have the Serpent star, and I believe you also have the Dragon star. Yeah, there's a Serpent star. Can't remember the name right now. But within the constellation of Orion, you have the Alphard constellation, which is one is Alphard and Alferd, something like that. Don't quote me on the pronunciation exactly, but it's something close to that. One is the lesser, one is the brighter star. Okay. Now, when you see these college co-eds, these fraternal and soror brothers and sisters, and when they talk about sigma alpha, sigma this, and they're letting you know I'm a delta and all these things, you know, for looking for preferential treatment, special treatment and stuff. The average person don't know what the hell this is, but they let you know that they're about that life, that occultic life. They are part of this society. All right. So these people, and there's millions of them out here, they're in tune with what is happening. And you'll see them branding themselves. You see when the American flag colors went from red, white, and blue in the police uniforms to black, blue, and white. Okay. Because it's a transferring over of power that was coming and it is here. All right. It's been here. You see them wearing the black ring on their fingers now. They're usually it's going to be on the married finger, right? Um, these things. Then there's many different types of rings, right? This is where you have the Fellowship of the Ring from. You know, you're going to have the wedding band type of rings. You're going to have the rings with the symbols, the skull and bone symbols, and many different symbols on top of them. You're going to have the rings that look like college or high school rings. Uh, Either the rings with the ruby stones, the birthstones, or what you think are birthstones inside of them. The Fellowship of the Ring. Okay. Since we're in this era of these constellations where these are literally dealing with the crown constellations, there's a passing over of power. And look when they chose to release the death of Elizabeth. She ain't my she ain't my queen. She's my colonizer. So I'll never praise her. Only a coon, a raccoon, mm, will praise her. She's the one that brought about apartheid over in Africa, right? It is through that crown and her lineage of peoples that brought about the enslavement of my Arawakan ancestors here in the Americas. It is through her corporation that our people started being renamed and re-educated to believe that that renaming that they gave us is our actual titles, which locks us on any corporate property. Modern day slaves, prisoners still of war, controlled by a corporation which is governed by a governor general, a prime minister, and or president or el presidente. Okay, what we're seeing here is, let's go to the prime minister of Jamaica. You guys are about to understand even here to understand why, whether you like him or not. All right, there are those who are part of that good old boys club, because that's also another name that they call it, that are not 100% on board with some of the things that have been taking place in there. And there are some that was about slowing it down or trying to put it at halt until you guys could wake up to understand what's happening. Even though they also serve that club, some of them don't serve it 100%. And that's what you was getting with Trump. Trump is a part of that society. But he knew what was and what is about to come. And he knew that it's not going to serve no form of good, just straight chaos coming from here on out. This is what he was fighting. And this is why he was cheated outside of that election, because the videos that they produce and stuff shows that he was cheated out of it. But anyway, this is why Biden was brought in, because Biden is a diehard member of that good old boys club. Biden had 2 years with Obama because he was Obama's handler. He was the one that was running shit when he was competent mentally then, but now he got, well, his mind is going now, so he ain't competent now. But they weren't going to back away from him. He's their horse. So they made sure he got into office. All right. I'll show you, because your votes don't matter. Your votes don't count. These people, these one percenters, decided this is who we're going with because one of their own one percenter was going against the grain and they needed to get rid of him, which was Trump. Let's go into something here. Let's go into it. Okay, so here we have the Jamaica Prime Minister. I told you this man is a tyrant. He's a thief. He's a hoodlum. Has nothing but bad for you. Because this here and the Jamaica Observer, none of them, they don't tell you the real spill. You understand? Because the money that backs them are one percenters money. So here you have him showing the national ID card or the national identification card. And on it in all capital, it says Jamaica, right? I want you guys to keep in mind that Jamaica or Jamaican cannot be a nationality because it is a corporation registered through the Securities Exchange Commission. It is a business. And this is where the trap lies in. It is a business that is owned by the crown. Well, managed by the crown, owned by the Vatican. Let's put it like that. Okay? It's a corporation. And if you go and identify as that corporation, you've committed paper genocide. This here, North, South, Central, what they call the West Indian Islands, this is the Western Hemisphere. Our people have always been here. We are Western Indians, or what they'll say, West Indian. And I don't think you realize how powerful that title is because they tell you who you are. You're West Indian. You understand? Or what would be Western Indian. And what is that? That is an American Indian. And the reason why he's going to threats, and I want to read part of this because he's threatening the people to sign on to the Real ID Act because what he's going to use is the military, the corrupt military and the corrupt police force. Now, last time I checked, the facade or the image that they were giving off to the people is that when the people vote and they elect someone, they're electing that person to represent their best interests, to represent them, to do what the people want, yes? Making them a public servant. Well, he's not acting as a public servant. He's acting like a tyrant and a dictator, because here it is right here in the Jamaica Observer. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is cautioning that Jamaicans who decline to register with the Independent National Identification System, which is called NIDS, could find themselves left behind in the new digital landscape envisioned for the country. Now, if you don't have this ID card, right, what they're doing is they're making things difficult for you. If you got to go cash your check, if you got to go draw money from the bank, they're telling them not to even take the old ID card. They're telling them not to take that. I understand now the reason why they pushing NIDS. The bitch queen been dead. Her son Ben took over. He Ben was crowned king long time because the actual crowning ceremony of a king is not just him standing in front of a microphone and a podium taking an oath. He literally has to go do a ceremony at the Vatican. Okay? He literally, he literally has to go do a ceremony at the Vatican. And I want y'all to understand this. You guys didn't see that ceremony because it took place a long time ago. All right. So what they're doing to the people now, because if the people says they don't want to be a part of this, him as a public servant is supposed to respect it. He's supposed to do what the people want. Why are you forcing this ID on us? They're forcing the ID on you because Jamaica is a corporation that is owned by the English crown on paper. So when you go and you take their ID, which you don't have to take their ID, you can make your own. You can make your own ID. And that falls underneath what is called real ID. Okay, as long as the information on it on the ID is truthful. We are not Jamaicans. We are what is called American Indians. A lot of us are Arawaks, and you are taught that you're African descent slaves that came over from Africa. And that is totally far from the truth. You were taken, your ancestors was taken from the Americas and shipped over into Europe and sold as indentured servants and shipped over into the Arab countries, shipped over up there up into what is West Africa. and all the different portions of Africans sold as slaves. Then you had the people of Liberia, which are from the Americas. Their ancestors are Americans. The people of Liberia, which was tricked to go on a boat. The boat took them out to Liberia. They thought the boat would come back for them. It never came back from them for them. 20,000 people, and they got stranded out there in Africa. And this is why Liberia to this very day is so poor, and all the African countries around it shit on them because they're not their people. Understand? Those are American Indians that they. This is why am I saying this? Because this ID that the Governor General gave the orders to the Prime Minister, which is given to the Governor General from the Crown to the Prime Minister to enforce. It's called paper genocide. It's a form of eugenesis, which Prince Charles, now titled as King Charles, he's a eugenicist. He believes in decreasing the population of the world. He spoke at the G7 summit, I believe, in September of 2020, of depopulating the world. Him and Bill Gates. And these these are the men that push the jab on you. Yeah. A lot of y'all gonna learn that was an experiment, and which is now coming out. Well, I ain't gonna go too much into that. A lot of y'all gonna learn, but 10, 15 years from now, you're gonna start seeing the side effects, just like the Tuskegee experiment. Took years before people started seeing the side effect. And the people that they ran the Tuskegee experiment on, the syphilis experiments, was on American Indians that they called Negro and Black, African American. King Charles is a eugenicist. Anyone that takes on this ID card, what you have done, what you have did, was agreed to contract with the corporation called Jamaica, which is ran by King Charles. So you agreed to be property of the crown. You understand? Now, for the ignorant folks that's going to be listening to this, that's going to say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And so on and so, oh, dear, you talk about Selassie like that. Oh, dear, you talk about Nubu Ali like that. That's ignorance. You're thinking out of emotion. That's like the audio that I played of the brother that's in court for the child abuse case. Yeah. And the judge literally is going to say, yo, if you don't want to sign these papers, I'm going to sign them on your behalf. But no one stopped to think about what the judge said, that is total and utter fraud. No one stopped to think about that when the brother said, hey, I made that confession out of duress, coercion, threat. You guys, I was on the threat. I was scared. And you, judge, you was there, and the judge admitted to being there. That is not only fraud, but the judge admitted to being there while this man was being coerced to make a false confession, if it's a false confession. Then this man says that he had video evidence that the child had those bruises on the child before this date, before the date of when he was accused of committing the attack on the child. So that means he didn't, because if he was the one that videoed those bruises on the child prior, that means he wasn't the one that hit the child. Someone else did, and he recorded it. Okay? And everybody in the comment section ignored what was being said from both the defendant and from the judge. And the only thing folks are saying, hope he get life. Oh, you know what they're going to do to him in prison? And I'm like, is anyone listening to what's going on? No one was listening. No one went to go look into it. No one went to go research. You just went off of emotion. And that's it. That is what's wrong with the society of today. Your feelings when it comes to particular situations where facts matter. Your emotions don't matter. It is the facts that matter. Okay? So, for this man and your wholeness to be telling people that it's a threat, that you're going to be left behind and so on and so, it means that they're going to have the the Western Unions, the MoneyGrams, the banks, any establishment that asks for ID, they're all going to start asking for ID because within their NIDS ID, there's all times, right? And I'm not and another thing that I noticed that has the term Naira also on it. You know, that goes back to also a major database program, but Naira is also, you know, locking underneath the whole African Union type thing as well, right? And it's I believe it's also African currency. So you have to ask questions of a lot of things. But when you look at this, everything is in, it says surname Smith on the example card, given name John Andrew, nationality Jamaican. That's not how an ID card is supposed to be laid out if you're dealing with an actual living person. If you're dealing with an actual living person, this is not how it's supposed to be written out in all capital letters and stuff like that. It's not supposed to be like that. And if you're dealing with corporate property, a fictitious entity that does not exist, then it's going to be in all capital letters. And what this ID card is a business license. Okay? It's a business license. It's not an ID card for you. It's an ID card for what is called a straw man name. Now, because a lot of people on the island are illiterate to this information, uneducated to this information, and the peoples that you put in office, matter of fact, because a lot of people out there in the world are illiterate to this information, and the representatives that you think you put in office to represent you, yeah, pay attention now. They know this information because that's their expertise. Is business, is banking. Okay, they know this information. It's stocks, bonds. You don't know this information. So when someone is coming around and sort of and giving light to you and let you know this is what's actually happening, and that they're enslaving you all over again, recolonizing you. This is why he's trying to pass that bill, saying that if you even have a mango tree, a banana tree, a ackee tree, an apple tree on your land, the government can just come and claim it because it's natural resources, because it's all going to the crown, to Charles, and they get a percentage of the amount of land that they continue to steal. This is why the mining has taken up more than ever on the island. This is why the Asians, the Chinese, them are all over now everywhere because the Chinese and the crown have a contract together. Understand? This is why you now can't go to, if you own a bar, you can't go to the Hennessy Corporation and say, hey, I want to do a contract with you where you import X amount of Hennessy for my business. Nope. You're going to have to go through another company that is controlled by the Chinese and the Jamaica Corporation. You can't go through them. There's another company. There's about 5 companies that lock down the importations of the world's biggest or popular liquors to come on the island to go to the mom and pop store businesses. Have to go through them. And that is also illegal. That's unlawful business practice. You are the indigenous people of the land. To the Negroes of the entire Americas, South, Central, North, what they call the Caribbean, you guys are the American Indians. You see the Kemetic community now, and they can never be straight up because the Kemetic community is knee deep into the whole Masonic thing and occult and sorority and fraternal orders from these colleges. Now they coming out talk about, yeah, you know, the Negroes of the Americas, we've always been here, but this is Egypt. No, it's not. This is old Egypt. No, it's not. It has never been Egypt. This is Mizra. Mizra. And there's other older names than that. And Mizra is an older name than your Egypt. A lot of the artifacts that you see, the jade artifacts you're seeing in China and these other countries around the world and Germany and these things, is when they grave robbed, tomb robbed, temple robbed over here. There's people that I know that helped build that highway 2000 in Jamaica and said and let you know that they actually cut through portions of pyramids, and that these Asian people, Chinese people, stealing everything from out of those pyramids, and the bones of what was left in the tombs they was throwing in the ocean, and the artifacts they sent back over to China. And now you have these Taino people who are not from there, who are the descendants of these same colonizers, right? That's working with sellout people on the island, claiming that they're the original people on the island. It's eugenicists. They're eugenicists. Paper genocides to get you to commit paper genocide. Give up your ancestry so that they can claim it and claim eminent domain. And they get the land, they get everything. The corporations get everything, because when one seeks to establish what is called, and I know I might be all over the place, but I just have so much information in my head, and I'm trying to give you as much as possible in a limited time. When a corporation seeks to establish jurisdiction, it must have the people, the original people of the land, not identify with the land. And through your mother, or through the feminine energy, is where they robbed you of your identity, because they started pushing Mama Africa, Mama this, Mama that, Mama. And then the Rastafarians started making songs about "Hello, Mama Africa, how are you?" Buju and them pushing both Mama Africa and Africa this and Africa that, and so on and so. And then boom, they hit you with Roots. Roots, I don't remember Roots ever telling you that you're African in Roots. They just portrayed Kunta Kinte as a slave. They never said he was an African slave. So remember that. But you locked in with the ideology that now Africa is the motherland, right? And through a fake mother, they robbed you of your identity when you started identifying with that land. So every time you identify something outside of the Americas, of being indigenous to the Americas, more and more immigrants come in and claim what is rightfully yours. It's called eminent domain. And because the corporations know this, when the corporations grab up land, and this prime minister getting you to sign on to the NIDS ID, you now gave up the entire archipelago. 28 islands make what is called Jamaica, Zamaica, which you're calling Jamaica wrongfully. You're giving up all that land to the crown, and the crown now can establish jurisdiction, because you no longer identify as Arawak. You, the Trinidadians and the Guyanese and the Grenadians, you're not identifying as Arawak or Lucayan or Locono. You're not identifying as that no more. You on the mainland, you're not identifying as Arawak on the mainland, or Cherokee, or whatever it is that you want to. You're identifying as Afro Caribbean, Afro Latino, Afro American. There's no such thing. Those are corporate titles, corporate names. So you're identifying as corporate property, which now means that since you're identifying as property, property cannot own property. So you gave up ownership of the land, you gave ownership of the resources, you gave up ownership, the rights to go fish in the waters without using a license, to travel on the roadways without being bothered by a policy officer. You gave up all your rights, gave it up to have anything. This is why Bill Gates say that he wants y'all to own nothing. Said that. Bill Gates told y'all that he wants you guys to own nothing, okay, while they control everything. The goal is for you not to want to own land, for you not to want to own this. That's how they came up with digital real estate. What the fuck is digital real estate? And they're using the notion that, hey, you could get rich off of this, but you're focused on digital real estate. You can't live in a computer while they're actually selling your land off to China, bought up millions of acres of your land already. They're selling. And if China owns millions of acres, China now can create what is called a jurisdiction, bring in their own police, their own military force, because that's their jurisdiction. And by the time you start waking up to say, but that's my land, we need our land back, you're going to be locked into a war that you can't win because now you're circled by your enemies all around you. You understand? Only way to win this is you got to get your children out of their education system. You have to understand what the colonizers did when the battle became too bloody between our ancestors and them. They laid low, they became patient, and they created or revamped an education system that started teaching you that you're not you. And they used the faces of your first colonizers, which were the Moors of Spain, because they looked like you. So your children started believing these people because you think that that is you and they're not you. Okay? But everything is astrological, man. They're going off of an astrological calendar. Everything that they're doing has to do with energy. Okay? Astrology. Look when they announced her death a few days before 9/11. They're siphoning off of the energy of the dead, the souls of the dead. And it's to also have you immortalize her death in your head because they've immortalized the 9/11 attack. Keep in mind that they redacted all the pages that showed that Saudi Arabia had something to do with 9/11. They blocked out all of that. You can't read it. Why would they do that? Because the United States of America, the corporation, does business with Saudi Arabia. Never you forget that. That being said, I say peace, love, light to you all. Again, this ID card, man. Anyone that takes on this ID card, you've ended yourself. And a lot of you are going to take it on out of fear. But if you stand strong and you group, the time when you're supposed to come out and protest by the thousands, by the millions against this, he would have no choice but to change this. Even if it's for you to stay in the old structured way system for now. But understand that you have the power, the right, because the governments of the world, the entire world government, all countries all over the world signed on to what is called the United Declaration Rights of Indigenous People, which is called UNDRIP. And you have to start looking at yourself as indigenous because you are, okay? Meaning now that within that law, that international law, it says that you have the right to self identify. So, him telling you, and he signed on to this, he signed on to this. So, he's bound by law. You understand? Even in the Constitution, the Jamaica Constitution, and any constitution around the world, you must know these documents. He signed on to this. So, by him telling you, let's go with what he says. The Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, is cautioning that Jamaicans who decline now, you're not Jamaicans. You have to correct them on that. You have to let them know we're indigenous, we're not Jamaicans. Jamaica is a corporation that was launched in 1962 by the sellout prime ministers and the governing bodies back then with the crown. It was a corporation that was launched, made public to be introduced to the stock market in 1962 underneath the ownership of the English crown. That's what was happening. Okay. So both your PNP and your Labor right, both your Republican and your Democratic houses, been selling you out for years. And the Constitution on drip, a drip, these types of documents and laws is for you to be able to keep them in check. But one man, one woman can't do it. You must come together in unity. So when you was wasting your breath protesting Black Lives Matter, you should have been protesting on these type of things. Because black is also a corporate construct. It means civilis mortuus, means dead in law. Black also means that you have no land, you have no nationality, you have no identity. Okay? So wake up. So by him telling you to what they cautioning that Jamaicans who decline to register with the impending national identification system could find themselves left behind, that's a threat. They're supposed to put out there that you also have the right to make your own identification card. Okay? And the identification card must imply with your true national status. If you are indigenous to what is called Zamaka or Jamaica, that means you are an American Indian. Means that you are an Arawak, the descendants of the Arawak. We are the original descendants of the Arawak. And they started teaching you that they were extinct. That is far from the truth. The best thing the devil ever did was trick you out of your home and have you give up your own home to claim another man's home. That's the best thing the devil ever did. I have an associate that I know that keeps talking about Africa this and Africa that, and how beautiful Ghana is, and because that's because they aunt went out there. Aunt is her aunt is a sorority woman, is a debutante. You understand? So this is what they teach. They teach to go over there to go get yourself an African prince, right? But anyway, so they said that next year their mom and them they're gonna go travel to Ghana. I said, why not travel through the Americas? There's so many beautiful places in the Americas, right? And it's like I offended them, right? And I got the Teespring store, so because I put tribe on the shirts, they don't like that. Oh, could you do a shirt that doesn't say tribe, but then want me to put something that registers some African shit? You see where we stand with our people here today because of the programming. You understand? Claiming somewhere that is not you, that you're not from, that even your ancestral genealogical history shows you're not from there. But the programming is real at MK Ultra. It's real. But anyway, by him sending out that threat about the ID, that's against the law. It's against the law. And if you come out in the numbers of how you're supposed to come out in and go and protest that, shut it down. Stop supporting these Chinese businesses down there on the island. Stop letting these foreigners come on your land, put up YouTube videos and telling people they must come move here. If all these people are moving on the island, what happens to you? If all these people are moving into the Americas, what happens to you? And you guys aren't thinking about that. You're like, oh, let them come. So what? They have the right to. But what happens to you? What happens to your children? Remember, these people were taught in their homelands, their countries, not to like you. So when they come and you go into their stores and they start treating you like shit, now you're shocked, you're surprised. They start buying up all of your lands because you're selling this land, you're selling your lands to them for trinkets, pocket change now. And that money done in a few months, and here you are living with a family member that wants you out their place because you're taking up space. And now you want to go see if you can get another piece of land, and there's no land for you to get because too much people done bought up so much land already. All these foreigners and snatched up these lands. I see Bolivians down there advertising the mountains of Portland, telling people to come to Portland. Hmm? I see when they hit you, the American dream. This is freedom over here. Come over here. And all these people that's running away from genocide and warfare and tribal war in their lands, they're coming here. Mind you, they didn't like the Negroes where they're from. They didn't like the dark skinned people from where they're coming from. You think they're gonna come here and like you? But they got hip to game. We need these folks to spend money to make our businesses make money. So you're consumers, and that's what they realize. And their job is to keep you down as consumers instead of owners. So they have to get you out of the mindset of owning anything. They have to get you out of the mindset of a natural inheritance. The Americas is your natural inheritance. Okay? But no, the Africans were persecuted. But if you go in Africa, majority of the Africans still know where their ancestral burial grounds are. They still have they still can show you the ruins of their ancient kingdoms. They still can show you where they 10th and their 15th great grandfather was buried. So how sway the slavery really hit them that hard? They're still on their lands. They can show you all the gold and gold mines that's in their backyard. You can't fucking do that. They still have their riches. Wake up.